This is my professional development slideshow on using primary sources to teach reading comprehension at the middle school level in all classroom settings, not just social studies. The goals are to discover how to help students cite specific textual evidence to support analysis of primary and secondary sources in all classroom settings. That would come right from the Common Core standards. Learn how to help students determine the central ideas or information of a primary or secondary source and provide an accurate summary of the source distinct from prior knowledge or opinions. That would also be right from the Common Core. And discover links to primary source document libraries that are ready to use for classrooms. To begin with, we'll activate background knowledge, and there is a link that takes everyone to a Google form quiz on primary secondary sources, and you have to decide whether or not it's a primary or secondary source just to see where everyone's at with their overall understanding of what a primary source actually is. After completing the quiz, they will go over their quiz results with their groups at their tables and come up with a working definition of what they think actually is a primary source document. Then they'll add their ideas to the chart paper at their table. When finished, they're going to tape on the wall for idea sharing. So what are primary and secondary sources? We're going to focus solely on the primary. There were materials created at the time an event occurred or created by those who experienced the event. These materials include letters, speeches, diaries, newspaper articles from the time period, interviews with people who were around when the event occurred, documents, photographs, and artifacts such as tools, weapons, clothing from the time period. So there's many different resources when we're talking about primary source documents. The next activity is to click the link that will take everyone to a list of the 100 milestone documents in American history that was compiled by the National Archives, and they are going to choose a document that is of interest to them, a written document, and print it off. Then they're going to complete the written document analysis form provided by the National Archives. This is a graphic organizer that helps them to comprehend what they're reading in a very detailed and deep way so that they completely understand the document that they are researching and studying. The form ensures students are closely reading the document to maximize comprehension and deeper understanding. Then they're going to make a Google slideshow. When the document analysis form is complete, they're going to click the link to our colleague Google slideshow. Create a slide with a photo of your document and share something interesting, surprising you found while examining the document. Be able to summarize the basics of the document and discuss something in the document that was difficult for them to comprehend. Then they're going to discuss with colleagues how students might struggle comprehending items in primary source documents. For example, they have a really tough time with cursive writing because they're not used to reading cursive writing as much as they used to. Then we're going to share and discuss, view the Google slideshow as a group, see what everybody found. Then we're going to discuss as a whole group which of the 7 comprehension strategies students would need to use in this primary source document lesson using the analysis sheet. So the strategies of monitoring comprehension, they definitely will have to do that while going through this activity. Metacognition, thinking about thinking. Use graphic or semantic organizers, they definitely will do that. Answer questions, they'll definitely do that. They have to generate questions like, what is something you would like to know more about this subject that this document doesn't answer? They have to recognize story structure, and they have to summarize. So out of these 7, 4 of the 7 are definitely highly touched on in this lesson. Then they'll brainstorm how they could use primary source documents to teach comprehension in other subject classes beyond the social studies class. So they will have work time to use the resources on the resources slide to find a primary source document that you could use in a unit in the subject area that you teach. They'll create a lesson around the document or documents, and there's some ideas on the next slides. For example, science class. This is a letter to the superintendent reporting that the smallpox epidemic has not reached the Pueblo, but many Indians are frightened, from February 4th, 1904, from a day school teacher, Clara D. True. And this would be an example of something you could use in a science class when talking about viruses and their effects on history and just medicine in general. This is Love Letters, a letter from Lady Bird Taylor, who becomes Lady Bird Johnson, to President Lyndon Johnson before he becomes president. So language arts class, you could study various love letters over the years. Family consumer arts class, this is a 200-year-old pound cake recipe from 1949 by Mary Ethel Nolan and Nellie. And this would be an interesting thing to do in a fine arts class such as family and consumer arts, to go back and to look at some of the old recipes through history and maybe try to recreate some of them. So for reflection, at the end of the work time, after they've had the rest of the time to find some documents they could use in their classes, find a unit they could incorporate with, they will come back and share the documents and the lesson plan or unit that incorporates it. There's a resources page with the document analysis worksheets for photographs, cartoons, posters, maps, artifacts, motion pictures, sound recordings. Everything has already been done by the National Archives. It's just there on a link. Some primary source document collections. The Library of Congress has by far the most extensive. This is a list of all different primary sources from around the world. Teaching History Collections also has a very extensive collection. The Constitution Society has some stuff from medieval times, which is very interesting. The University of Wisconsin Collections has stuff from the state of Wisconsin, as well as the Wisconsin Historical Society, which will actually break it down by county and city, so you could do a local project for your area for this primary source document. Thank you.